Our next guest you may recognize from this show.
Nothing to be ashamed of. I've bought a typewriter and I've taken a postal course in shorthand. I'm not aware that either of these actions is illegal.
Will you tell us why? Preferably without any more cheek.
Because I want to leave service. I want to be a secretary.
And now, from Downton Abbey, now she's on Game of Thrones. Can you just imagine the crossover episode? The day that Mr. Carson throws a Dothraki party. Everybody loses their mind. It's going to be fun. Rose Leslie is her name. There's an awful lot to get into in her particular life. Game of Thrones has obviously captured a lot of people's imagination. I think the new season starts on Sunday. Take a look at Game.
Strike hard and true, Jon Snow. Or I'll come back and haunt you.
Please welcome Rose Leslie. Welcome. It's lovely to see you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Congratulations on this whole thing.
Oh, thank you very much.
What do you make of it?
It's been a whirlwind.
Yeah?
It really has. It's been phenomenal, and to be able to work on an established series that Game of Thrones is, it's
What does a whirlwind feel like from the inside?
Manic.
Yeah?
But a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
And it was Downton Abbey that got them to pay attention?
I think it was.
Yeah.
I think it was. I do a similar accent. Well, I did do a similar accent in Downton Abbey, and then I think that's where the show's creators kind of saw me, and they were like, okay, well, let's get this redheaded in.
Right.
Yeah.
Kissed by Fire, is that what it is?
Kissed by Fire,
right.
Exactly.
What's interesting about both the characters you play is to both allow these young women to be strong and take stands and just something as simple as a job application, right?
Exactly.
And just
exactly.
wrapping her head around that kind of character, getting into a woman who had to face those realities. What was that like?
That was incredibly interesting, and I felt very privileged to be able to play a part like that, because she was the first of her kind, and I think it was a rarity to step out of working in the household and having aspirations for the first time in her life, and stepping aside from the norm, and very brave and courageous, and that's a lot of fun to play as an actor. I mean, that's gold dust.
And you recognize there's also that reality exists for so many women around the world today, so it's an important role to get right, because it's not like it's just from a bygone era. This is a reality for most.
Yes, very, very true.
Game of Thrones, you get to do the same thing, similar thing, be strong.
Yes.
So when you walk into an established series that has an audience, did you feel pressure? How do you manage that?
Well, do you know what? With hindsight, this is an amazing thing, because I shouldn't really be saying this, but I kind of went into the first audition unprepared. I was unaware of the show. I hadn't watched the first season. I'd kind of just heard from guy friends who'd been watching it that that it's amazing. So it was all kind of word of mouth, and I didn't realise the pressure. And had I realised the pressure, I don't think I would have been able to land the job in the first place. So I'm happy that I was naive for the first round of the audition. So I didn't really feel the pressure, which was a wonderful thing.
We had George R. Martin on the program in the red chair. Here's a clip from him.
Right. Okay.
You write women really well. You write them really different. I know your wife is obviously a strong influence in your life. Where does that come from?
The main thing is empathy, is saying, well, okay, how would I feel? Because the character is still a person. There's a certain basis of common humanity. And that's true when writing about women or writing about a dwarf or writing about any of this. You have to start with the basis. They're more like me than they are unlike me.
Right. I wondered, is it a question of telling stories with messages that are key? Like, I know Game of Thrones, in principle, can be watched strictly as entertainment, but you can find any good fantasy literature, and George R. Martin takes it seriously. Any good fantasy literature is going to have some sort of social relevance and some sort of value. As an artist, is that where are you looking for stuff like that?
Very much so, and something that you can relate to and something that you're proud of as well. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the characters are hypersexualized, and in this era, there's a real push on television, especially that kind of cable TV, to go there. As an actress, when you walk into this scenario, you know what you might have to do. How do you feel about that?
I feel, especially with Game of Thrones, I feel that it is necessary, and there are times that when it calls for that to happen, and whether it is gratuitous or not, it works with the scene. It helps push the scene forward. But as an actor, I've never really thought about it that much.
You have to deal with it.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, it's time for Anthropology. Are you ready?
Yes.
What's the weirdest thing you've been asked to sign at Comic-Con?
A forehead.
Wow, how do you feel about that?
I loved it.
Did you?
I was like, hell yeah, give me the pen.
Would you rather climb an indoor rock wall, an outdoor cliff, or up the side of a castle?
Outdoor cliff.
Based on what we saw earlier, what was the last law you broke?
Oh, speeding. Boring.
Really?
Yeah.
What's a more accurate depiction of Scotland? Trainspotting or Highlander?
Highlander.
I want to hear that's the right answer.
Yeah,
that is the
beautiful.
right answer. When you heard the title, did you think Game of Thrones was just the royal family's version of musical chairs?
Yes.
You did? What's the main difference between fans of Game of Thrones and Downton Abbey?
I think Game of Thrones, they're more sci-fi, but both of them are incredibly kind of like dedicated and passionate. I think Game of Thrones, actually, they're more positive.
Are they?
They're more passionate about it, yeah.
What are your true feelings with haggis?
Love it.
Including Paul Haggis?
Including Paul Haggis, and also when it's deep fried.
Do you like that?
Yeah.
Speaking of, what's the most adventurous thing you've ever eaten?
Deep fried Mars bar. It's disgusting.
It's super Elvis Presley of you. Where did you have that, in Tennessee? That's super...
No, Glasgow.
You did have it in Glasgow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So good to see you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Rose Leslie, everybody. Game of Thrones, by the way, Season 3 starts in HBO Canada on March 31st. It's a Sunday night. You can watch it all. We'll be right back.